My dear students, teachers and parents. Here I would like to speak something about mathematics, and as a subject in your school curriculum you are learning mathematics. So that is, you think that you are doing mathematics to get the GC ordinary examination, to get through the examination, but that is not the only thing you need. So you need to develop your knowledge of mathematics to continue the day-to-day life activities, and sometimes you have to estimate some daily work. Sometimes you have to plan your work, sometimes you have to do some different activities. So you can use your knowledge of mathematics for all these things. So therefore it's very important to develop your knowledge of mathematics, develop the concepts of mathematics and all. So that is why we have an important subject in our school curriculum. So, and the main thing is, when you sit for the GC O-level examination, so mathematics is a compulsory subject. That is, you need to get through the examination. So therefore, to go for higher studies like A-levels and other higher education, different, there are so many curriculums and different diplomas, everything you can continue after doing O-levels. So therefore it is very essential to get through the examination with the mathematics subjects. It's the basic qualification for your higher studies. So then we can say, like so many children think that sometimes mathematics is very hard to learn, but it's not hard. Actually it's that is because you have not experienced the subject as a child friendly thing. So if you are familiar with these concepts and all, then you will not get scared of mathematics. So you will love to do mathematics. So that's very important. I think if it is a child friendly thing, it's not difficult. So you will not see any difficulties in continuing this learning mathematics as a subject. So therefore we can say mathematics, if you do this in the school curriculum with lot of activities and all, that's why we have planned from grade 6 to 11 as well as the primary education also. The most of the basic concepts are given through the activities. So therefore if you are familiar with these things, then you will not get scared and you will love to learn mathematics. Then it will be a child friendly subject. So I think after listening to me, sometimes you will like to learn the subject mathematics. Now I would like to mention about the themes of mathematics. So there are 6 themes of mathematics. So basically it's numbers, algebra, measurements, geometry, statistics and sets and probability. So those 6 themes, based on those 6 themes, the curriculum of the GC ordinary level examination is prepared by the Department of Education, Ministry of Education and the National Institute of Education. All these institutes get together and they make the curriculum, and it was given to the schools to enhance the teaching learning process. So therefore these 6 themes, what you learn in school is then finally the evaluation is done for these things. When you enter a school as a grade 1 student, then you learn for 11 years continuously, and then in grade 11 you have to sit for the GC O-level examination. So that is an evaluation point. So this is called as the summative evaluation, because the summative evaluation, mainly in our local syllabus we have two stages we are evaluating. First thing is mainly ordinary level examination and then the advanced level. So these basic qualification you can get is from the ordinary O-level examination. So therefore this is very, very important to get a good result for the mathematics subject with the others. So therefore we have always we do this evaluation with 5 objectives of mathematics. So basically knowledge and skills are the mostly evaluated in the papers, because it's the writing skill, and what you learn you can give it as a answer script. So we give questions and the students answered, so we can evaluate them. So this is their knowledge skills mostly, and with that one we have some other objectives like communication skills, relationships, and reasoning, and the problem solving. Those are the 5 objectives. So we can measure your knowledge through these things by a paper. So therefore we have to always, these curriculums are changing, like between 8 to 10 years it is always reformed. So earlier the previous education reforms were done in 2008, and now it is done in 2016. So 2008 also the somewhat syllabus change and the structure of the paper change, and then now again 2016 it was done. So the reforms are done like paper 1 and paper 2 both, and the syllabus also change. Like so if we take an example, some units, few units were shifted from one grade to another grade, and because to balance the age group and the level of the students and all. So therefore they have shifted some lessons from grade 10 to 8, 8 ones to 9, like that they have balanced the syllabus, and some few lessons were added, actually newly added. So if I mention it because it's very important this year, the newly added few parts are there. I think the children should know these things properly before you go for the exam. So it is, one is matrices. Matrices always it was there, but now the multiplication of matrices added now. And the next thing is the distance time graph. So distance time graphs, and you have to calculate the gradient with the tangent as the tangent, because the gradient represents the speed of that one. So therefore those things are newly added to our local syllabus. These things were done actually by referring some other lot of other country syllabuses and all. So they decide to do these things. And another one is the current situation of the share market. So the previous syllabus, it was not the current situation. So now they have developed it, and they have made the changes, necessary changes. So you can learn these things in our new syllabus. So therefore you must be full awareness of these things before you go for the exam. So, and then I would like to say something about the new reforms. Like especially the main thing is mathematics first paper. First paper, the time is same, and part 1 they have made a slight change by changing. Earlier it was 30 questions, 1 mark each, 10 questions plus the other 20 questions with 2 marks. But now for the new syllabus, new reforms, they have changed this. They have taken away these 1 mark 10 questions, but totally you get part A only 25 questions, and part B as usual there are 5 questions, each one you get 10 marks. So therefore first paper you will get the 100 marks. So I would like to explain about the included percentages of the themes and all. So I will tell it like this. It was newly introduced. So first paper 50% is evaluation of the 50% is done for knowledge and skills, communication 30%, and the connections with 20%, right? So then part A, the number of questions are 25. So therefore these 25 is basically numbers, you get 4 questions, measurements you get 4 questions, Algebra you get 6 questions, geometry 8 questions, sets and probability 2 questions, statistics 1 question. So that means mostly you are getting geometry questions, 8 questions, but children are sometimes scared about the geometry, but don't think like that. The paper 1 is only they want to evaluate your basic knowledge of geometry. That means if you know the theorem, if you know how to apply the theorem, you can answer the questions. So therefore 8 questions means 16 marks. So you should get all these 16 marks to get a good result. So try this, because even the proofs are difficult. Some students, we can see the proving and all geometry parts, they face some difficulties, but by knowing the theorems and the applications, you can get most of these marks from the 8 questions. So therefore please learn these geometrical theorems, and the other parts you can, if you cover the whole syllabus. I think now you have already covered your syllabuses in schools, so therefore you can answer the questions very easily, and all 25 you get 50 marks. So these things are not very difficult parts, or always the basic concepts. Then the part B also, you get it was not changed actually, it was the previous thing, same thing. So one question is based on like numbers, so mostly fractions, ratios and all, it's as usual. It was not changed. You know already this B part actually. It does not include geometry or algebra questions. So only numbers and measurements. Like measurements means you would get a plane figure to calculate perimeter and the area of plane figures. You know, trapezium, parallelogram, sectors, triangles, those things. So then another question is coming with sets and probability. So you will get sometimes Venn diagram and sometimes a tree diagram and all. So you can answer this. And another question is coming basically the number theme. It's like percentages, profits, taxes, and interest. Sometimes maybe simple interest, sometimes maybe compound interest. So these things based on one question. And the 5th question mostly statistics. This order can be changed. It depends on the setting panel of the examination paper. But the last question, another question will be statistics, that is histogram, frequency polygon, cumulative frequency curve, pie charts and all these things you will get. So these things are very easy actually. So therefore you can get the maximum marks for the paper 1. So it will help you to get a good result, that means good grading in the final exam. If you get more marks for paper 1, so then you can collect the remaining marks from the second paper. I think that is all about the first paper. Now we will see about the second paper, Mathematics 2. So it was actually really changed, because the structure was changed, the time duration was changed. So earlier the Mathematics second paper, it's 2.5 hours. But now they have increased the time by half an hour. So therefore you are getting 3 hours for the paper. So the structure means, so first I will tell the percentages of the themes and all. So numbers 23%, measurements 15%, algebra 20%, geometry 22%, sets and probability 10%, and statistics also 10%. So this is a slight change from the previous thing, 2008 syllabus. And the aims of the mathematics, like objectives, it was knowledge and skills 40%, communication 20%, connections 20%, reasoning and problem solving each one 10%. So according to this, so like in the first paper you didn't get geometry and algebra, part B, but part A includes the whole syllabus with the basic concepts. But in paper 2, it was divided into 2 parts as earlier. Part A basically it's algebra, three questions you will get for algebra. One is the graph question, the quadratic functions, and the other two will be like algebra theme, mostly fractions, algebraic fractions, factoring, and solving equations, linear simultaneous equations, quadratic equations, forming equations. So those things you will get, and the plus the matrices. So that is also new. One part is newly added, so you have to practice it more. And then after that you get three questions from algebra. The main change they have done is, so out of these three algebra questions, one will be given with less part questions. That means the structuring of the question. Usually you get structured questions and then it's easy to answer. First part, like one part, first part, second part, third part, there are some questions. So you have a guide. You have a guidance to continue the question and get the answer. But here sometimes you will not get any part questions, you will get the direct question. So therefore you have to analyze the question, you have to plan your steps, and then you have to answer. So that's the difficulty. I think that is why they have increased half an hour, because same number of questions out of 12, that means out of 6 you have to select 5, and part B also out of 6 you have to select 5. So but the problem is you have to read the question and you take some time, more time to understand it, to analyze it. So therefore there is an extra half an hour. So don't get scared about these things, because you know the theory, you have learned the theory. So this is the application time, because you are writing the answers means you are applying your knowledge. So therefore that will be, out of these three algebra questions, one will be like that. Sometimes maybe one or two parts, sometimes there may be no part questions, only the main question. Especially they can ask these things with the share market question, and then the interest calculated according to the diminishing balance question, like buying and selling goods according to the installments and all. So I think these things you can practice with some questions. So sometimes taxes, percentages also included there. So another thing, other three questions will be based on the other four themes. That means geometry totally coming in the part B. So therefore they can include here the rest of the three with solid question, or sometimes the statistic question, frequency table and all. Sometimes the trigonometry measurement theory theme. So out of these, sometimes maybe sets and probability, or like that. So then out of these three also, there will be another question with less number of parts. That means it is also the same type of that question, sometimes without the parts even. So therefore that also you will get as a new reform, new structure, new model. So out of these 6, 2 will be given like that, and the rest 4 will be the usual questions. But in part 1 only you are getting algebra, part A only. Part B, when you go to part B, you get geometry there. So 3 questions from geometry. So one is the usual one, construction. So the children love to do constructions like triangles, parallelograms, trapeziums, circles, tangents. Those things you can do. You have learned all these geometrical theorems and all, so you can use your knowledge to do the construction. So that always you have to guide, you need a guide, no? So therefore it will be there will be 3-4 parts. So maximum will be, this number of parts will be 5, less than 5 always. Then other 2 questions, geometrical proofs. So you have to read the question, you have to answer the part questions. So out of these 2, one will be sometimes without parts, the usual new structure. So sometimes they will give the direct question, prove this. So you have to analyze it and divide it into small steps. Then you can reach your target. So that is the geometry part. And the rest 3 questions, what is not given in part A, you will get in part B. Mostly sometimes sets and probability, tree diagrams and all. and again sometimes solid is there in part A, then you don't get solid here, then measurements will be here. And sometimes the number theme, the most popular question, arithmetic progression and the geometric progression question. So that is also with a story, basically based on a story, some event is happening, or sometimes directly you will be given equations. So you have to use the formulas and do it. So that is also another question. And the trigonometry one, or sometimes the scale diagrams also coming with trigonometry. So like this you know the usual form, but remaining 3 also one question will be in that new structure with less number of steps or without the structured part. So that is the new reform. So you can have an idea about the new structure and the changes. Always compare your past papers and the new structure. You were given some model questions from the Department of Examination also. You got those things, you can practice these things. So therefore you can go through this structure and just identify where these changes has done, and then you can practice these model questions. Now for the students who are facing GCO level examination in 2016 under the new reforms, we have given a fullest support. So that's what we have done in the 2008 curriculum changes also. So we were combined with MD Gunasena and company. So they publish, with them we publish a series of Q&A, questions and answers, model papers, book set. So it's a very good series, and I think it's a very big success for them, because in 2008 also we introduced it at once when we changed they changed the syllabuses and the new format. So now also again 2016 I have done all these changes according to the given percentages, correct percentages of questions and correct number of questions, what they have structured. So I have written this Q&A mathematics model paper book, including 6 model papers. So now you don't have past papers regarding this new structure. So therefore I have written this paper, model paper question, Q&A question book, question and answers, including 6 model papers and the answers. So you can practice these things to gain the experience of the new structure. So and O-level examination is new to you now in this form, because 3-hour paper, so new structure of questions are there. All these types of questions are included in my book. So therefore in addition to that, I have already included 10 necessary geometrical theorems with the proofs. So it was there in 2008 also, the same 10 theorems you have to learn this year also. So therefore it's there in the book, so you can practice it, how to prove these things. If you get a geometry question with these proofs, you can do the proof and then you have to do the question with that one, with the use of that theorem. So therefore I think this will give you a big support in the coming exam 2016 December GCO level exam. So I would like to actually thank MD Gunasena and company for giving me the fullest cooperation to do this successful book. Yes, I think all over the country or island wide, the book is going everywhere with the teachers, with the students and the parents, because we have the response from them. So always we know that they are evaluating these books, admiring these things. So then we are happy about that also. So I would like to thank MD Gunasena and company and all the other helpers also to do this book in my own. So therefore you will get a good practice, good experience before the exam. by using this Q&A mathematics book. So therefore, I would like to take this opportunity to wish you all the best for the coming 2016 O-level examination. Then you can achieve your target, you can get the result as you wish, and then it will be the path for your higher education. This is the basic qualification. After you get the results, you can decide which stream you are continuing your studies, like science stream, art stream, commerce stream, or there are so many other streams now introduced in the new education reforms in our local curriculum. So therefore, you can the new thing, technology subject is also important, that is also introduced. But basically, maths is always necessary condition to continue your higher studies and your day-to-day life also. So I would like to tell parents and teachers also you can get this book and you can help your children, students, to get good results in December. So I would like to thank all the parents, teachers and the students who bought this book and who are using this book. Get the maximum experience and get good results. Wish you all the best.